back in the fourth. Ahead by 11. Eyes down. Ball gone. And the soft 7-pin this time. Boy, she looks like she is spotting about 6 or 8 feet down the lane.
She says she spots the arrows, but if you watch her eyes, she starts her approach and then she looks down. So there's no way she could be spotting that far out. So she's probably watching in the first few feet.
A lot of different ways to get lined up. You can use the dots, the arrows, perhaps a board a little further down the lane. And boy, this is interesting. You and I were just chatting during that last commercial break how little angle that Jackie is using right now to shoot her cross-lane 7-pin spares, and she missed it.
She missed it. She said that's the spare she had the most trouble with this week. So she picked up the shiny ball and went as straight as possible at it and just threw at it. That ball she might have finessed a little bit more. It just seemed to hook more.
Open frame in the fourth. Now Aleta Sill leads by 1. O'Donnell comes back and strikes on a shot that she didn't particularly care for.
No, she looked like she got a little out of time on that particular shot. When she came through the ball, she fell off slightly to the left. The ball went further to the left of her target, so there must be some dry area out there, and she carries the 7. Oh, she was happy.
And trying to make it 3 in a row, and doing so, the machine begins to stamp out strike after strike.
Aleta's been in this situation, maybe once or twice before, would you say, Denny?
Well, to be more specific, this is her 54th appearance in the championship round.
That's an awful lot of appearances. She's got an awful lot of experience under her belt.
Career match play record, 44 victories, 37 losses. She's been under the lights before and performed very well. Good ball speed. This one rolls up a little high, though, and Aleta kind of kicks herself and says, ooh, wait a minute, let that one get away.
That one looked good going down the lane. Let's find out what happened to it. Everything looked great going through the shot, and then all of a sudden it just picks up some momentum, rolls up, and the rest is history.
Well, your basic 9 out changes the complexion of this match because O'Donnell is working on a strike. If she doubles up here, she's right back in the thick of things.
It was important for Aleta in that shot to get as many pins as possible since she was working on a strike. Whenever you have a wide open split, unless you absolutely need it to win, you really need to go for the most count.
A little more aggressive shot, and the 7-pin this time goes. You have to be impressed with the way Jackie O'Donnell has handled having a strike up. She's thrown some very good shots to double.
Yes, Denny, that last shot she got a little lucky on, and then she took advantage of it as a seasoned veteran would. She's not letting anybody scare her out there, that's for certain.
All her friends and family at Holiday Lanes in Westport, Massachusetts, got their fingers crossed at this point. She said, yeah, they'll be hooting and hollering, especially if I throw a couple of strikes. This was near disaster, as she almost played Channel City with that shot.
She almost played Channel City, and she's very lucky it didn't break real sharply on the back end. She could have been looking at a washout as well.
Have you ever played Channel City, Kris?
A few times.
The long straight shot?
It doesn't hook in those boards out there.
No, it sure
Not
doesn't.
at all. She seemed to have lost that ball to the left a little bit. It's really hanging on there for dear life.
I mean, Dick Batista couldn't have brought that one back. Remember Dick Batista?
Yes, I do.
Boy, could he hook the ball from the left side. Well, she takes out the picket fence with no problem. She leads by 10. We'll be back with a conclusion of game number 2 from Chesapeake, Virginia, right after these messages.
Announcing an event that gives you more for your trade than ever before. $1,000 more. Wilkins Pontiac in St. Louis Park will add $1,000 to the cash value of your trade toward the sale price of any new Pontiac, even the all-new Transport. That means if your trade is worth $4,000, now Wilkins will give you $5,000 for it. Plus, save with factory rebates, low-interest financing, Wilkins deep discounts, and $1,000 extra trade allowance. Only at Wilkins Pontiac, Highway 100 and Excelsior Boulevard.
The Outpost Hunt and Sport is your headquarters for guns, snowmobiles, ATVs, outdoor and hunt clothing, fishing gear, and more. Get the best prices, largest selection of firearms and accessories, plus quality and expert service. You get the most at the Outpost. Right now, choose from a large selection of Remington clothing. Gore-Tex material protects you against the elements, Plus, the Outpost ensures competitive prices on all Remington clothing. Outpost Hunt and Sport, Highway 55.
Pressure is on. Aleta Sill in the 7th to get something started. This has been her good lane, and it continues to be so.
I think she's made great shots on that right lane, and she has struck on every shot on the right lane.
It's amazing to me how the professionals seem to get zeroed in on one, and it's kind of like lost in space on the other one half the time.
Yeah, sometimes they play like that.
Good look from the bird's nest here at Pin Boys of Chesapeake. I have a question to ask you.
What's that?
Were there ever any pin girls?
Pin girls? I don't... Yes, there were pin girls. Not very many of them, but...
The Pin Boys, obviously the people that set up the pins back in the early days of the sport of bowling. That's a good question for Chuck Pisano. I'm going to put him on the line and ask him who the first pin girl was, because I'm sure we had some.
I'm sure we had some. I bowled even when there were Pin Boys. I've been bowling 30-some years.
So you started at a very young age.
Very young age,
And speaking of youngsters, Jackie O'Donnell bounces back with a strike, and we are dead even now after 8 frames. Close match here in game number 2. Game number 1, scenario went Jackie O'Donnell leading early and winning easily over Leila Wagner as we look at the even up board here in game number 2. A little more loft, and that was a bit of a tug, so you could see the pressure concerning that swing.
We're getting down into those last few very crucial frames. She probably took a look at the scoreboard and sees that everything's all even. She's got a tough spare here to make. It's a little baby split, but it seems to be giant when it's in the 9th frame.
Try and fit it in between the 2 and the 7. And the ball's not going to come up. So the pressure was on. Jackie O'Donnell just couldn't seem to deliver. Now Aleta Sill takes a quick look at the board, realizes she leads by 12, and she could close the door on the rookie very quickly.
This is where Aleta and her experience should shine. I hate to make predictions. Every time we make a prediction from up here, something completely the opposite happens.
So Aleta Sill looks to Fran for a re-rack, and Fran Wolf gives her one. You know, we talked about Dick Batista. We should develop that story a little bit more.
Right, Denny. Dick Batista was a PBA player, Professional Bowlers Association, in the 1970s. He's the only professional athlete to return to his sport after having a heart transplant. And did you know that he also went competitive and made the top 24 after he returned?
If I'm not mistaken, he made it in Rochester at Olympic Lanes. I could be wrong, but I was working on the PBA Tour back then, and it was an unbelievable story. Yeah, Dick Batista. Well, soft 7 for Aleta Sill, who now leads by 11. Biggest game that Jackie O'Donnell could shoot would be 201. A spare here puts Aleta in a position where with 20 in the 10th frame, she could shoot 202. Count really important here, though. She's on the spare. If she strikes, she's in an excellent position as you see the board.
Yes, Denny. If she strikes in any kind of a spare, we'll give her the lock by 1 pin.
Well, now we've got a differential in score, and I think we'll have that corrected. Should have been 142. Ball goes long, comes up, wall shot won't happen, and we have the possibility of a tie.
Of a tie. Another one of these things. If Aleta spares and strikes, she shoots 201, and then the pressure will really be on Jackie O'Donnell.
Yeah, but if you're going to beat Aleta Sill or tie her, you want to strike out in the 10th to do so.
Oh, for sure. You have to strike out in the 10th. It's just an exciting thing to do. And it's the only thing she has to do.
A free shot at perhaps lining up a strike shot as she picks up the 5 pin. So Aleta knows what the tally is. If she strikes, she shoots 201. She can do no worse than tie. Keep in mind, the winner of this match moves on to take on the current U.S. Open champion, Miller Mackie. And Tish Johnson, our top seed this week.
Tish has been having a great couple of years, hasn't she?
Boy, she's bowling well.
Yes.
Needs to win, though, from the top spot. She hasn't bowled particularly well from there. Key shot here for Aleta Sill. And guess what? Jackie O'Donnell can win this match. Aleta Not happy with what she does in the 10th, a game of 199, so 2 strikes and 9, and Jackie's a winner.
And there's that 4-7 again, Denny.
Well, let's see what happens on the right-hand lane here. Shot and it won't happen. Pretty good offering from the youngster, but Aleta Sill realizing that it's not easy out here to win, even when you're taking on the rookies.
She gave it her best shot, and Aleta didn't know exactly what was going to happen here. As Jackie comes in through the shot, she looks like she made a great shot. The ball reacts, it comes up, it hits a little light, and that splasher just didn't carry.
Nevertheless, a very exciting, successful start to a new career out here on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour.
I'm sure she's proud of herself, and she's very happy that she at least made it to the 4th position. She finishes 4th and makes it to the 4th position in her very first tournament.
So time has run out on Jackie O'Donnell. And she's had a marvelous week here in Chesapeake, Virginia. Final score 199 to 189. So Aleta Sill heads on to the semifinal game to take on one of the hottest players on the LPBT Tour, Miller Mackie, when we return.
Don't go to the woods with anything less. And with $40 off on an 026, now you don't have to.
Well, baby, me went out late Saturday night. I had my hair piled tight and the baby just looked so right. Let's rock, 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 man, rock, oh, rock, till we pop, we're gonna rock, till we drop, we're gonna rock this show. Rock it inside out.
The good times roll with the clean, fresh taste of Bud Light. It won't fill you up, never lets you down.
Sharp. When I say sharp, I mean
business.
I mean
Technology on the cutting edge.
sharp.
Color technology, color scanners, printers, and copiers for high-impact presentation.
Sharp.
Laser fax technology, laser quick, laser clear.
I mean
Microtechnology, the wizard, the electronic organizer. Information at your command.
I mean
Technology on the cutting edge.
when I say sharp, I mean business.
You don't have to worry when rain keeps pouring down, 'cause your home can take it whenever comes around.
Introducing Olympic Water Guard, the water sealant that protects brick, concrete, and wood by repelling water and blocking out the sun.
It's no wonder we'll stop the rain.
Olympic stops the rain.
We can't win if you can't stop Ricky Henderson.
When something on your mind
This could get ugly.
or something you eat
Look at that jump.
gives you acid indigestion, it's time for extra strength Rolaids. Fast, 1,000 milligrams strong. Now that spells relief.
$20,000 for first. That's a nice round number, courtesy of the good folks at AMF.
It's a wonderful number, Denny. It's one of the biggest ones that we see all year.
10,000 for second. Next week, the $60,000 Columbia 300 Delaware Open, live from Holiday Lanes in Claymont, Delaware, beginning at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Boy, those folks did a beautiful job hosting the ladies last year, and I know they're looking forward to having them back this year.
They're looking forward to having us back again, and from what I understand, it's going to be even more successful.
Absolutely tremendous crowd fan support last year. That place was packed.
Every day. It's a good area.
Well, the current U.S. Open champion, and she comes out quickly, hits the pocket, and leaves the 7-pin. How long can we go before we chat about the paper clips?
I was just thinking the same thing. You're in my head too much here. Well, the paper clips.
The ones that she's wearing is what I'm referring to.
Right, Denny.
It's a different look.
It is different. It's cute. I think the players are trying for something different, and that's not exactly what she wanted to do.
Opening shot and a missed spare now. Nerves, perhaps, the problem. Aleta Sill has had an opportunity to bowl one game and win one game here in the championship round. As you see, lane 34 was the better of the two for her.
That's probably why Dana chose to have her end on the other lane.
And that's a pretty good reason why right there. She just waxes the pocket one more time.
I don't think she ever missed on that lane last game. So I wouldn't want her to finish on that lane against me either.
Mm-hmm.
She just needs to line up and get this left lane, excuse me.
Dana Miller obviously a little upset with herself. Missing that 7-pin. The 7 pins of all the spares this week, though, for the left-handers did provide some problems across the house.
Some places the lanes hooked on the corners, and some places they slid off. But we're looking at some of them sliding off and some of them hooking to the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So it hasn't been consistent for the entire show here. One player's having one problem, another problem.
Aleta Sill making the adjustment on lane 33, so she opens with a double and leads by 21. Out to about the 2 board, can't quite shake the 10-pin out. So 2 pretty good shots for Dana Miller Mackie, and she comes up with 2 9 counts.
She gave that one a little bit more room to run, it looks like, Denny. Aleta was saying earlier the right lane hooked for her more, so maybe it's the same thing for Dana. This spare should be cross lane. Give us an idea what's happening going across towards the 10-pin on the center of the lane oil.
Hard
Light.
surface ball, and Dana Miller Mackie rooting that one back to get to the 10-pin. She's already won in Alexandria and also won the U.S. Open. If she wins here this evening, she would be the front runner for the Player of the Year. But well, when you got to beat Aleta Sill and then Tish Johnson, that's not an easy task.
No, she's got a hard chore ahead of her. She will have earned it when she wins it, if she wins it.
Regardless of where she finishes tonight, though, she is the leading money winner. She'll take over the lead as this ball rolls up high. You can see the adjustments being made. A little light the last time on 33, and this time a little high.
She tried to carry that 7-pin because it was what we would call a weak 7-pin, so she probably straightened it up a little bit more to let it hook more into the pocket, and then it overreacted on her.
Very, very fine physical player who has really an outstanding mental outlook, I think, to the game and to competing on the national tour. It's part of her success. And she'll have to muster all of that mental strength because she trails by a bunch here in this one.
This left-hand side doesn't seem to be reacting for her as she expects, because if you'll remember, she missed the 7-pin into the gutter or the channel over there, and this time the ball doesn't hook up to carry that 2-pin.
6-pin wiggles around momentarily, but stands. Once Aleta gets lined up, she's pretty much going to make quality shots. So to beat her, you're going to have to shoot a pretty good game.
Yes, you will, Denny. And Dan is not in good shape having 2 opens in 3 frames. She needs to get on her game here. Aleta had mentioned earlier she might be going with a harder piece of equipment or a more shiny piece of equipment, but she looks like she opted to stay with what she's been using all week.
Remember this tournament 2 years ago?
Oh, what an exciting finish.
She
Do I
shoots
ever remember?
288 and loses to Leanne Barrett.
Mm-hmm. She needed to step up in the 10th frame. She's on 9 in a row, and she still has to throw 2 more strikes in order to at least have a chance to win.
That was a wild finish here in this AMF tournament.
Yes, it was.
Whew. Of course, that was over at Indian River Lanes, right?
Yes, it was.
And another shot in the pocket for Aleta Sill, who leads by 34 here early on in the semifinal match. Dana Miller Mackie will have to come from behind. We'll be right back after this.
You know, there was a time when taking care of your car was about as simple as filling it up. But times have changed, so have cars. Fortunately, Citgo has developed this new gasoline with HTA 1000 super detergent. It actually keeps today's cars running like new. So to take care of your car, Fill it up with Citgo. Car care's never been simpler.
These people never thought of themselves as high-pressure salespeople. They've always been committed to service. That's why they've become successful Better Homes and Gardens real estate agents, and why they use our proven real estate marketing systems to serve their customers better than anybody. After all, we've found that once you place service above everything, everything else falls into place. For information about a career in real estate, call 1-800-ADVANCE or your local Better Homes and Gardens real estate firm.
Mike Eisenman, Peter Cohn, representing AMF Bowling. Just, what is that, up the road or down the road to Richmond?
Probably up the road a little bit and to the west slightly.
Oh, good fingers in that shot. And Dana Miller Mackie comes back with a strike in the fourth. If she doubles here, at least she can start to tread water.
She'll get back into the game a little bit better. Here we see Dana's approach. She has a real nice, smooth five-step delivery. She stays fairly high through the ball, through the approach. She leans a little to the left, and with great knee bend, she comes through very strongly.
Pair of opens in the first and the third put her behind the 8-ball. Now she's trying to run the rack. Better shot. Ooh, needed a little luck there to carry the 6-pin. So she's zeroing in. The question is, will Aleta Sill give her the time?
I'm not so certain Aleta will give anybody the time. She likes to jump in there and take command of the action. And here we see the ball coming in high, but not quite high enough to carry that 6-pin, and it wiggles it a little bit. She could have gotten a break. Didn't happen.
Nose of the head pin, nudging the 6, but didn't quite get the job done. That would have been a critical double for Dana Miller Mackie. Would have put at least a little bit of pressure back on Aleta Sill, who has a strike in the fourth and now operates on lane 34, the better of the two lanes for her.
And her favorite, because she's been striking so much there.
Hard to believe Aleta Sill's been on the LPBT tour for 10 years. That's one of the reasons why she's been so successful. Takes advantage of an opportunity.
All the players on the show, except for Jackie, have been on the tour at least 10 years. So they're pretty well seasoned veterans.
You have to love her honesty, too. Right before the telecast, I said, Aleta, you know, what did you do well this week? What was it that allowed you to qualify number 3 and make the telecast? And she just looked and said, I thought the lanes were real easy, Den.
Not often you hear that.
Well, no. Usually it's this or that or whatever. She said, I had no problem sitting in the pocket. All I had to do was worry about my carry. And she said, that's kind of the way it worked out this week, and you got to take advantage of it.
Well, that she did. This shot she took advantage of as well, because she could have been in a little bit of trouble. The ball came high, and then there went the 7-pin. So she was happy, and you can see a little relief that she finally carried that 7 out of there.
So after the double, the lead has now been extended to 42 pins.
We were speaking about how good of a year that Dana's having, and I was speaking with her earlier, and I think part of her good year is coming from her great mental frame of mind. Steve, her husband, is moving over here from Sydney, Australia, and he's going to be working in Dallas, Fort Worth, so she's going to be able to move back into the States. She'll be back with her family and her friends. She's going to be a little unhappy about leaving Sydney because she feels like it's her adopted country. But these types of things help her mentally, and she puts a lot of stock into the mental game.
She's thrown a number of pretty good shots here and just tickled a few pins, but hasn't been able to strike. That better hook.
Well, she's consistent, Denny. That's
yeah,
how
but see, now it's the opposite.
one.
Now she should be shooting the spares with the soft-shelled ball.
Yes.
And throwing the strikes with the other one. How can this happen in this game? It's flipped around. It's this urethane, Kris.
Oh, things have changed, Denny, in the last few years. Then it has changed a lot. It used to be a softball as opposed to a harder ball. Now it's a shiny ball as opposed to a dull ball. It's the porosity that's changed everything out there.
Constantly turning over. And Dana Miller Mackie will reset. Looked like she might have lost the grip. Trying to settle down right now and not let this one get away. She's down by 43. Every shot critical for her. She needs to get something started.
She needs to start right here. That strike is a must. She answered the call. There's her husband, Steve Mackie. He's also with AMF.
Well, Steve, with a sigh of relief, at least she struck, but now she's got a double, he says. We'll be back with the conclusion of the semifinal game from Pinboys of Chesapeake right after this.
Brookdale Jeep Eagle Advantage. Brookdale is under new ownership, and you'll never find a better time to take advantage of Brookdale Jeep and Eagle Summer Clearance Sale. The 1990 Jeep Cherokee, Off-Road Magazine's 4x4 of the decade, now just 1 cent over dealer invoice. Or save up to $1,600 on the exciting all-wheel drive Talon, one of Car and Driver Magazine's 10 best. Brookdale Jeep and Eagle, 1 mile north of 694 on Brooklyn Boulevard, Brooklyn Park. The Brookdale Jeep Eagle Advantage.
Market Tire is more than just a tire company. Our name means service. At Market Tire, you not only get the best Cooper tire available, you get a professionally trained service technician that will stand behind every Cooper tire sold. Market Tire features free lifetime service for puncture repair, spin balancing, and rotation of every Cooper tire, plus free mounting, valves, and computer spin balancing with every Cooper tire purchased. Market Tire Company, 54th and West Broadway in Crystal, the leader in quality since 1963. Cooper and Market Tire.
Red Sox trying to hang on for dear life right now. Major League Baseball on ESPN tomorrow. The Friday night doubleheader. Red Sox and the Yanks or St. Louis. And the Pirates and your team, Kris, the Reds, they're out in front. They'll take on the Padres or San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you said that exactly correct.
No, the Dodgers.
Okay, that's better.
Okay. Aleta Sill comfortably ahead by 43 pins. But it's not mathematically over yet. However, if she does that one more time, it might be.
She inches closer to making it mathematically out of the woods here. She has 2 doubles already. She was saying earlier that in her swing, her elbow has been bending a little bit, and she feels that that's part of the elbow trouble that we talked about, maybe because of the elbow trouble. But tonight she's looked fairly straight with that elbow. Maybe that's one of the reasons why she's bowling so well.
Okay, her ball speed looks better than it has in quite some time. Projecting it nicely down the lane, keeping it in play. Her 3rd double of the match, and she leads by 53.
We see the ball as it gets to the halfway point and it begins to roll. It comes up and it blows the rack, as we call that.
Up high, baby split left for Miller Mackie, and it just was not her night.
No, she's a little lost out there. She, as you said earlier, she chose to go with the shiny ball, and she's picking up something that's even shinier now to go across the lane to make this baby split. She comes from a very bowling-oriented family. Her mom, her dad, her brother, they're all professional players. Dee bowled out here on the tour for a little while. Her mom and her dad bowls on the seniors tour.
Mm-hmm.
And her brother Mike bowls on the PBA tour. And she asked me to especially make sure I would say hello to Adriana, her little niece, because she said that Adriana never hears her name on the air, so she'd like to say hello to her tonight.
All right. Head down. Quality player here, very disappointed, much like Leila Wagner in game number 1, just never, ever got the right angle or speed or ball in their hands. And the best players in the world, if they don't get lined up, are going to go out and shoot low scores like everybody else.
Yes, they do, Denny, and you only get 10 frames, and you have no idea how quickly those 10 frames go by when you're struggling. They seem to take a little bit less time, more time when you're all lined up.
One of these days, we'll have to do a study and look back and look at the percentage of matches that are won by the opponent that's already bowled 1 game on the championship pair. That would be interesting to see what percentage of games are won by the player that's already had 1 game as opposed to the one coming on with just the quick practice shots.
Denny, that would be an interesting study. A lot of times you see that for the top seed not winning the tournament because they haven't been on the pair of lanes to see the changes that happen and to make the different the ball changes or the line changes or speed changes. So that would be something for us to look into.
Well, up jumps the 4-6, but it wasn't in time. Aleta Sill had already won the match. I guess if you're going to leave something like this, now's the time to do it.
That's the time and it's the place.
Was she shopping there, Kris? Maybe a little different angle on lane 33, or was it just not a good shot?
I think it was just not a good shot, Denny, because she's pretty well lined herself up. She's a couple of doubles, a turkey. So she's got to be hitting that lane. She doesn't need to be fishing anymore. So she just might have let down on the 10th frame because she knew she already had it won.
Aleta shoots 223. Meanwhile, Miller Mackie will add $7,500 to her earnings, and she's just a fraction shy now of $50,000 on the season, and she takes over the money lead heading into next week.
Still puts her in good position for this Bowler of the Year race, as we talked about at the top of the show.
It was funny because I said, Dana, if you win, do you think that you really are going to be locked in? And she said, not at all. She said, I think what we really need to do out here is to look at how the players perform in every tournament, where they finish, how much money they earn. She said, hey, if you win a couple of the big tournaments with the big top prizes, then you have to win 5 or 6 events to catch up. She said, I think you should look at the overall performance, competitive points, what you do in match play, and that's truly how you're going to find out who the best players are.
That's for sure, Denny, because that tells you how the player did throughout the entire year, not just in the big tournaments or whatever. There's too much of a disparity between the top prizes in some of our tournaments.
You know, it's funny, though, too, because I almost feel like you should get a little bit more of a nod when you win the major championships, because everybody's sharp and everybody's trying to get to them. Aleta Sill cools off. Will she stay hot, though, in the title match? That's the question. She takes on our top seed, Tish Johnson, when we return.
Hi.
Was I scared?
Well, what'd the doctor say?
He said my hemorrhoids aren't that serious.
Yeah?
That I don't need surgery.
That's great.
He said to eat right and exercise, and for flare-ups, use Preparation H.
It's terrific.
Yeah.
Thousands of doctors distribute this care guide. It advises a fiber-rich diet, exercise, and to help relieve hemorrhoidal symptoms, try Preparation H.
I feel so much better.
You think you feel better?
Preparation H in ointment and suppositories.
Hi, I'm Emery Pike, and I would like to remind all you fans that you can be an important part of the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour by joining the official LPBT Booster Club. As a Booster Club member, you'll receive an official LPBT Booster Club membership kit filled with special gifts, photos, and benefits, including the LPBT's 1989 souvenir program book. To join, send your check or money orders for $30 to this address. Be sure to include your name, address, and t-shirt size. Join today.
The good times roll with the clean, fresh taste of Bud Light. It won't fill you up, never lets you down.
Unfortunately, your septic system can back up.
What a mess. What a smell.
What an expense.
Septic system backup?
Again.
So how come this hasn't happened to you? I use Rid-X.
Rid-X once a month adds millions of bacteria to digest waste and works to keep your septic system running trouble-free.
It's easy and a lot less expensive.
Rid-X, it helps prevent septic system backup.
The cool days of October mean red-hot action on ESPN. Baseball Tonight covers the race for the pennant every night. Top teams show their true colors on live college football Saturdays. And every Sunday, NFL Game Day and NFL Primetime cover the pro scene. Top players go for broke in 2 of the PTA Tour's richest tournaments. And the auto racing season charges toward a fabulous finish. October sizzles on ESPN.
And don't forget, there's still plenty of exciting action on ESPN left in September with Davis Cup semifinal action, USA versus Austria. Andre Agassi and Michael Chang will be playing for the United States live from Vienna, Austria at 5:30 a.m. And then, of course, on Saturday, Kris, it's the Mercedes Mile live from New York City. The best milers in the world going to be running around Manhattan, basically, in about 3 hours and 3 minutes and 52 seconds. Tough mile. Probably easier to take a cab.
Probably a lot easier to get around Manhattan on foot, though.
But you have to run the Mercedes Mile because you can't find a cab in New York City.
Yeah.
Okay. Tish Johnson wants to get off to a fast start and doesn't. Boy, she has bowled so well the last couple of years, leading a lot of tournaments, but she gets to the title match and doesn't seem to perform in the same fashion she does for the other 42 games.
I don't know whether she's losing her aggressiveness or whether she's just happy to have made it to the top seed. I don't think so. I mean, by the time you get there, you want to win if you've led it all week.
It was close going right into the last game last night. She and Miller Mackie were about 30 pins apart, so whoever won the match was going to be the top seed. Tish is 5-9 from the top seed position, so she's led 14 events. That's a bunch.
That is an awful lot to win, to be ahead and not to come in and to take that many more titles.
Where she and Aleta Sill have competed against one another for many titles. Aleta, though, with that loose arm swing, you can see the difference. You start carrying those shakers, it's because that thing's rolling.
That's right. You're relaxed. You're letting the ball do the work. It's been proven time and time again that when you're tight, you don't carry. You have to get that arm loose. You have to get the arm swing fluid.
Lane 34 is still the better of the two, striking almost a third again as many times. Of course, she's throwing strikes on both lanes.
She got lined up better that last game on 33.
Will she get a break? No, she doesn't. The 5-10. Now, what are the chances of making this, Kris?
Mathematically, I don't know, but for a professional player, I think it's one of the easier spares because you just make a few board move, in her instance, to the right, and try to play a pocket shot and switch that 5 over into the 10 pin there.
All right, going to try and slide the 5 over. I have a feeling it might happen. Oh, boy, she hit that almost dead flush. Not a good shot. Aleta shakes her head, so an opening for Tish Johnson. As we take a look at Tish, she was either Avis or #1 the entire week, huh?
She never went any lower than second.
The amazing thing about the top 5 here, Kris, if you look, there was only one player that was out of the top 10 the entire week. That was Jackie O'Donnell after 2 rounds. So these 5 players pretty much had it going from start to finish as Tish Johnson comes back with a strike.
Here we're watching Tish's game. You can see she has a very low push away, very medium type backswing. The ball's a little bit higher than her shoulder. She gets in at the line and she does almost all of her work with her release and her fingers. She changes the ball right there at the foul line. If she wants it to go out to the left a little bit more, she pushes the hand left. If she wants more fingers, she just pulls up on the fingers.
Kind of stood up on that shot a little bit, so lane 34 presenting some problems. Tish, I think, felt like she threw a good shot there, but wasn't able to double, and she still leads by a dozen.
No, she's not sure what to do on that particular lane because both shots have left some combination of the same pins, so the ball's going just a little bit too high for her.
We have seen the 4-7 a few times tonight, haven't we?
Just a few. I wonder if we should count and see if this is the all-time record.
Well, I think it's easily a world record.
At least.
We'll have to have our statistician, Jerry Edwards, take a look back.
Jerry's got all that written down there for us, but how many times do we have for people that are left-handed on the show? So it's not often that you leave that many 4-7s.
Just like clockwork, lane 34 ends up in a strike. Now let's see what kind of an adjustment Aleta Sill makes after leaving the 5-10 on lane 33 the last trip.
I think her last shot there was just a little too fast, Denny. And
too much ball speed?
Too much ball speed, yes. She seemed to have given it a little bit extra at the foul line, and that would have pushed the ball down the lane longer before it made its rotation into the pocket, and she didn't have very much carry or very many splashy pins down there.
High flush it goes, so a double in the 4th, and cuts the lead now to 2 pins. Aleta trying to battle back.
It's early in the match yet, and we have 2 fighters here, so we're going to have a great battle.
No give up in either one of these 2.
No, not at all.
All the way out to the 1 board, all the way back to the pocket. I think both players would like to live on lane 34.
34 seems to be very good for these 2 players and the other left-handers that were on the show earlier. Unfortunately, when you bowl a tournament, you have to play on both. Now that's a look of an aggressive personality. I think she wanted that strike.
Demonstrative type player.
She plays with the crowd. She lets people know what her feelings are. She's great to watch.
And she comes back with a double, so two of the best lefties of all time jousting here in the championship game. Really, other than game number 2, which Aleta Sill won 199 to 189 over Jackie O'Donnell, the other games haven't even been close.
No. Not in the least bit.
That's unusual. Aleta says, I'll come back with one of my own, and leaves the soft 7-pin.
That's a little surprise to her. She's not sure why. She's been striking so much on that lane.
Trying to bump that average up a little bit. Don't forget the ladies will be heading to Holiday Lanes in Claymont, Delaware next week. Uh-oh, there's a mistake. Second time this evening that Aleta Sill has missed the 7-pin. This time she misses it to the left.
I don't know whether she made an adjustment for that. Here comes the first ball. You can see it deflected just a little bit. That 4-pin just lays on the 7-pin there. Doesn't carry it. And now we come back to the real action.
And obviously she's a little shook up. Absolutely misses everything on lane 33. It's amazing. Unforced error. Of course, really in all defense, Tish Johnson hasn't had the greatest luck from the top seat position. Everybody comes out and shoots 240 at her.
Maybe it's just time for Tish to
perhaps
win from the top seated position. It's kind of unusual for, as you said, Aleta to miss a spare like that and then come back and make a bad shot, because that makes you work even harder the next shot.
Trying to cover up on the 1-3-6-9, and she does it just like clockwork. But she's down by 25. Tish Johnson operating on a double. If she throws 2 more, they'll be popping the corks on the champagne.
She'll be a happy camper, that's for sure. She's doing some remodeling as well at her house. It seems like everybody took this summer to do remodeling work. So she was kidding about her making the checks this week, and her roommates back home, Vicki and Lauren, spending the money to remodel.
Well, if I were them, I'd get the checkbook out.
I'd go decide what new
looks
carpet
good
to
where.
put somewhere.
Perfect shot, a 3-bagger, and it's the Fosbury flop there for Tish Johnson, who's heading backwards.
Yes.
Trying to settle down a little bit, get the heart rate down. One more right here leads her by 45, and it's pretty much all she wrote. She's trying to take all the drama out of this championship game. Nice roll. And whacks the pocket again. So Tish Johnson trying to redeem herself after losing the U.S. Open from the top seed position.
I think she decided to come out here and to show everybody that she really did want this tournament, and all the speculation that we had in the world up here was going to be for naught, because she was going to win. She bowled, she won last year's Samstown tournament as well, so she bowls very well in the big money tournaments.
Aleta Sill with a strike, but it could be too little too late. Still has an opportunity to shoot 225. But Tish Johnson, I think, if memory serves me correctly, could shoot 260.
Yes, she can.
Well, the mind hasn't gone yet.
Yeah. Not yet.
Yeah, 260. That's one way to win a title game.
I think she'd take that.
Yep, I would.
All you need is 1 pin. Just 1.
Aleta Sill bounces back. Never say die. The way Tish Johnson's bowling right now.
She's bowling great. You never know what's going to happen in the last half of the game. You never give up, because there's still 4 shots left for Aleta. But the way Tish is wired in here, she's pretty hot tonight.
Actually, she could shoot more than 260. Shoot 270, right?
I think she's got the crowd behind her, too, Denny, if you were listening here. They're making all kinds of noises every time she gets a strike, so it's fun to have the crowd behind you, and she plays to the crowd real well.
It's even more fun when you're locked into the pocket for the title. Well, I tell you what, it's awfully nice to see this, because she has bowled very well the last couple of years, and yeah, it comes and goes when you're in the championship round. Oh, now we get a Brooklyn, so as they hoot from the rafters, Tish Johnson enjoying the championship game immensely.
You know it's your night when you cross over and you carry, and you're on, what, 5, 6 in a row? So.
Got a 6-bagger working. Aleta Sill trying to Finish on a high note. Not much expression changing for Aleta Sill, but win or lose, she's pretty much always got the game face on.
She does. You can't tell very much from the look on her face. She's not as demonstrative as a Tish would be, or even as a Stacy Ryder. She gets down to the serious part of the game. We have a little bet going here. I don't know if you're aware of it, Denny. We have a new staff member by the name of Jeff. He's working in our press room. And the bet that I understand that Tish Johnson has with Jeff is that if she wins the tournament, he has to cut his hair. So
is his hair too long?
Well, I don't know if it's too long, but she wants him to cut it, so they made this bet.
So in other words, he needs to make the appointment.
It looks that way.
You're speaking of Jeff Allen, the new...
Yes. The new PR
gentleman in the... Right.
PR gentleman, yes.
Well, if I were him, hope he doesn't go to a butcher or anything like that.
I hope not.
Was that part of the bet? Yeah, the next question is, does she get to cut the hair, or does he go to somebody that's a professional?
I think he gets to go to a professional. Just the bet was that he had to cut it. I don't think anybody would make that kind of a bet.
So in other words, it was a close shave for Allen, but he does have to get the haircut.
I don't know about the shave, but the haircut's in order now.
Tish Johnson just trying to have some fun, and 270 is still within the grasp. So it's going to be an exclamation point for Tish Johnson here at Pinboys of Chesapeake. She just flat went out and dominated the title match.
So much for not playing well from the top seed. I think she put that one to rest.
Well, let's hope. Yeah, I'd like to see the top seed win every week, to be quite honest with you.
They bowled well all week. They certainly deserve it.
Well, it's like you have to win the tournament twice, and that's not an easy thing to do.
No, because anything can happen in a one-game match.
8 in a row. Normally, 8 is enough.
I think 8's plenty in this case.
For Aleta Sill, a marvelous tournament, a second-place finish, and she'll relive the early stages of this when she left the 5-10 in the second, as Tish Johnson left nothing anywhere along the way, and Aleta Sill realizes how well Tish Johnson bowled to win the $100,000 AMF Cobra Classic, 270 to 214. That was a big-time win.
Yes, it was. I'm sure she feels great. It's from the top seed. It's a great big bunch of money. It's been a year since her last win. She's happy.
Career title number 9 for Tish Johnson of Panorama City, California. $20,000 richer, and we'll be back to chat with our newest champion from Pinboys of Chesapeake in Chesapeake, Virginia, when we continue coverage of the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour on ESPN.
These people never thought of themselves as high-pressure salespeople. They've always been committed to service. That's why they've become successful Better Homes and Gardens real estate agents, and why they use our proven real estate marketing systems to serve their customers better than anybody. After all, we've found that once you place service above everything, everything else falls into place. For information about a career in real estate, call 1-800-ADVANCE or your local Better Homes and Gardens real estate firm.
What's your first priority? Miss Crowley.
Well, I'm assuming there's product in the pipeline, so...
Assuming, Miss Crowley. Unfortunately, assuming doesn't feed the bulldog.
The top business schools prepare you for every eventuality you will ever encounter in the business world, except one, business travel. We've got that one covered. United. Come fly the friendly
How
skies.
can Miss Crowley's 3-person sales force stay on top of her far-flung enterprise?
Presenting Coleman's newest idea in long-distance lights and the world's oldest idea. Coleman's 1 million candle power spotlight and the lighthouse. You can see them both for miles, but you can also adjust the Coleman spotlight from a tight beam to a wide flare, whereas it's unwise to adjust the lighthouse at all. Coleman's million candle power spotlight, the best long-distance light in a long, long time.
Oh, no. The heat pump's poop.
What? It's really burning up in there.
What are you, the fire department?
Well, you don't have to get Rude?
Yes, you do. A Rude heat pump's year-round performance helps lower energy bills and keeps you comfortable year after year.
You want to get comfortable? Get rude. Hey, where are we going?
To get comfortable,
You gotta get rude.
The championship round finals of the $100,000 AMF Cobra Classic have been brought to you by the Coleman Company. We outfit your outdoors. And by Rude Air Conditioning. To get comfortable, you gotta get rude. What is all the hooting and hollering going on here, Tish Johnson? I think the fans were behind you.
Yeah, I bowled Indian River 2 years ago, and I lost by a pin. So I told them this year I was going to try to win on TV. I wasn't going to lose it this time, so I did pretty well.
And, of course, you're going to give each one of these fans $1,000 for cheering here this evening, right?
No!
Well, maybe not. We have two gentlemen from AMF who have a beautiful trophy to present, Peter Cohn and also Mike Eisenman. Peter?
Tish, congratulations. We didn't have any Cobras in Richmond this time of year, so we couldn't stuff one and put it on a trophy. We thought you'd like something a little more conventional. Congratulations. Great tournament.
I'd like to thank AMF for hosting this tournament. They are really great to the ladies. Hopefully it'll get bigger and better in the future. Thank you.
Michael, a few quick words from you for our newest champion.
Well, congratulations, Tish, and that's on behalf of all the AMF employees worldwide with our bowling centers and our sister divisions. Congratulations, you're a wonderful champion.
Thanks. Thank you. Wish I could have used your balls, but I wore a shirt.
Boy, I've never seen you this close to being speechless, but now I'm going to introduce the proprietor here, Dwight Mitchum, who not only is going to congratulate you, but he's going to make you a wealthy young lady.
I have something very special here for you, Tish. I'd like to congratulate you on behalf of Penn Boys, Mitchum Recreation Services, and the entire Tidewater Bowling family. And I'd like to present you this check for $20,000. Congratulations.
I'd like to thank the staff here at Penn Boys. This is a fantastic bowling center, the way it's set up. It's really nice. And I'd like to thank you personally, and hope to come back next year.
Thank you, Dwight. Kris, do you want to move in? Tish, we talked about it in the Open. We talked about it throughout the telecast. You've had some problems from the top seed position. The last couple of years, you've led 14 tournaments, and it's not easy to bowl from there, but tonight you got off to a quick start, and 270, that's a mind-boggling game.
Well, I've been really working on my game, trying to stay calm during the it's hard when you sit and wait for an hour to bowl. And so this time I just sort of just sat and spent time by myself and really thought about what I wanted to do. I had to figure out lane 33, and after I went high the first shot, I moved instantly, and I got lined up. It was lucky.
Lined up, I think that's an understatement. We'll go ahead and take a look at one of the last 9 strikes, perhaps. If you can talk us through this one. This was obviously on 34, the better of the two lanes.
I like this lane. This lane was hooking a little bit more, and so the only thing I had to do was make sure I got it left. On 33, the lane was a little bit tighter, but if you swung it out, it wouldn't come back. So the one that I swung out, it came back and got a strike, luckily, but I was telling it to hook. But,
of course, you never react to any of your shots.
Never.
What's this, the Salvino wave there? 270 to 214. In your wildest dreams, you're not going to figure you're going to shoot 270, right?
Never. Well, actually, I really bowled really well down at this end all week, and I was trying to go for the 100,000.
Ah, you just got started a little bit late. Kris, a question for our newest champion?
Tish, congratulations. What I heard from you earlier tonight was that you were going to take a different attack plan. You were going to go out there and have fun. Did you have fun tonight?
Yeah, I did. I had a lot of fun. You got to have fun because you got to enjoy what you're doing, and I really enjoy it. But I took an attitude that I was just going to have fun and not try to make it so serious. So maybe I might get rid of some of these gray hair.
What about bowling Aleta Sill, a good friend of yours and a quality player with 16 titles? Of everybody, you probably didn't want to face her in the championship game.
Well, it was tough. I didn't want to face Danny either. It was just that we've really had some really good matches, all of us together. So you just got to come out and play your game. And Aleta bowled very well. I mean, she got 2 bad breaks, or otherwise it might have been a different story.
For you, the key all week long. I know you averaged big. Going into the final game last night, the position round game, you were only, what, 29 pins apart from Dan and Miller Mackie. You bowled a big game there. So was it in the cards for you to win this week?
Oh, I thought, you know, every tournament you walk into, you got to think it's your turn to win. I always like to play outside, and, you know, and it paid off.
Yeah, in a big way. Did you play outside most of the week?
Yes, I did. I just used change balls early and came out pretty good.
A lot of talk throughout the week, controversial talk about the left-handers having a bit of an edge here this week, and Leila Wagner, the only right-hander to make the telecast. How does that make you feel? It seems like in the shows that I've done, the left-handers never bowl well. It's always because the lanes are easy. I'm putting you on the spot here, Tish.
Well, without getting me in trouble here, I think anybody can bowl good at any given time. I thought the shot was a little bit better on the left, but then I bowled tournaments where I thought we didn't have a chance. So I just think that we need to work on it, and hopefully that it will get better, and that way all of us can play.
Kris, one final question?
No, I think you've pretty well covered it, Denny.
You don't want to touch any of this,
No,
do you?
No,
but it is an interesting question. The bowling fans throughout the country obviously realize that there are not as many left-handers as there are right-handers, and I don't think the lefties get as much credit as they should when they bowl well. Right?
I think what Tish was saying earlier, a lot of times is that people feel because the lanes are done for the left-handers, and that's not true.
Well, we'll come back for the continuing saga of the lefties and the righties next week when we go to Delaware. Thanks for joining us here in Chesapeake. So long, everyone.